there, Scorpio. Welcome to your I almost said May, June uh, tarot update. It's Rena here. So I'm just shuffling the cards here, showing you the back of these cards. I don't use this deck very often, but I do love the beautiful designs. Uh-oh, we're getting this like relationship. I was gonna say relationship drama, but even like divorce, the legal aspect of it. I have several cards here: King of Swords, Justice, Judgment, and the Emperor. All four of those cards. I did do, it's funny because I did a reading for another sign. I can't remember which one, and I do shuffle these cards, and I don't know, I think I got all of these cards, but in different positions. Not all seven, but the ones that were about the legal stuff. The heart of the matter is the Prince of Cups. This deck uses prince and princess. It I kind of like prefer the standard terms, but it is what it is, and this is the equivalent of the Knight of Cups. And actually, it's showing that doesn't look like a male figure to me, and yet it's supposed to be a prince. But anyway, the meaning of the Knight of Cups is a romantic figure, somebody who is, very open about love. Knights, there's you could call it an unstable quality with knights. It's associated more with younger males than with a mature male. But I don't like to assign chronological age to it because just, based on knowing human nature, some people are very youthful in how they behave and how they view life, even if they're, middle age and beyond. Um, and it's almost like giving a bad rap to people who are younger or males who are younger, that they're automatically going to be not very committed, they're going to be flighty, or they call it chaotic. Although I think the Knight of Cups is less so. I think they were talking mainly about the Knight of Swords and the Knight of Wands. The Knight of Cups is like your prince in shining armor. And of course, that's kind of a romance novel. That's not real life. But for a Scorpio individual, this can mean the stark difference between someone who treats you as you really wish to be treated in relationships, and somebody who's kind of like mailing it in, so to speak, because I have here in the past position the King of Swords. So is this I was thinking, is this an Aquarius? But I mean, because I always think of the King of Swords when I think of Aquarius, and I don't know what astrological sign it's specifically attached to, but the swords are all air signs. So Gemini and Libra are the other air signs, but it's a card of somebody who is super detached. If you're a sun in Scorpio with such an individual, chances are your moon is in an air sign, and so you have that part of yourself that doesn't want to be so like beholden to someone emotionally. So it's kind of like an interesting dilemma because Scorpios typically want to really just merge with another person. But all Scorpios are different, and some, if they have like the moon in an air sign or maybe even an earth sign, they may be a lot more inclined to prefer a relationship with somebody who is less emotional because they know that they are emotional on some level, even if they have a moon in a more detached sign. So it's like you want that balance with somebody who might be much more, uh, objective and not take things personally because, a Scorpio who gets involved with a Cancer or with a Pisces or even a fellow Scorpio may find that it's quite tedious, that it really feels like a drag to be dealing with such a person. The higher message is a judgment card. This can be, I that's why I was saying this position is not meant to be a literal uh, analysis of the card itself, but really what it represents on a higher level or the bigger picture of it. And the judgment card can be like a legal judgment. I mean, that is one of the things that it could represent, but it's also a card of judgment as it pertains to how do you decide who you're going to get close to, and have you utilize good judgment in choosing partners, because maybe you realize now that you were choosing a partner for the wrong reasons and you're kind of like, oh damn, why did I do that? And questioning, your motives, or, just thinking about what did it all mean at the end of the day, because now you may realize that you're not compatible at a basic level. And in terms of also another thing too is if you have gotten divorced or you're in the process of it, and I would include even if you're not involving a legal entity, you still may be sorting things out and having someone help be the moderator or whatever you want to call it, the mediator. You may feel almost like it says something about you that you're breaking up with that person. So it's very important when you get divorced or you break up with someone that you do not feel like a failure, that you don't think that it's a reflection, like a poor reflection on you, because those are things that people tell themselves that have no basis in fact. They're just, you're telling yourself that because society has kind of conditioned us to treat relationships that are just there for a season as if they are less than, or if they mean something. They don't necessarily mean anything any more than you stop hanging around certain friends that at one time you were attached to the hip of that person. That doesn't mean that you don't like that person, but you just may feel like you've outgrown that relationship. And so, yeah, all of those kinds of things can come up. And even if it was a disastrous relationship and you're like kind of embarrassed that you tolerated it for so long, and you feel like your judgment was impaired, remember that there are reasons why this happens. One of them is trauma, because trauma can make a person overly loyal, I feel, and that's because sometimes people who have had parents who have addictions or other type of maybe mental illness, what have you, some dysfunctional thing, they have seen the the humanness that adults can possess, and maybe you grew up worrying about your parents and their well-being even when you were a child, and that can lead to not necessarily being the best judge of character when it comes to who you get involved with, because you may have this tendency to really be attracted to people who have problems. And so it's one of those strange things, because some people, they're just like so sensitive to it that anybody that even there's a hint of, they have a drinking problem, or they they want to go out a lot, and you think that that means they're going to cheat, that you might be overreactive on that end. Some Scorpio people, maybe even more Scorpio people, might be that in that way. But still, this all can lead to kind of like extreme attitudes in relationships and expectations. Oops. The card that crosses you, so I'm reading this kind of, well, usually it will be a reverse card depending on which is the more challenging interpretation. The Emperor. The Emperor is a card that is supposedly connected to Aries. And I always say that I connect it to Capricorn, because it can be like a judge. It can be somebody who is rendering a decision, who has this authority. And so that can mean that you are, and it does deal with authority figures, because it's connected to Aries, it's connected to police officers and military men. And so that authoritarianism, we talk about authority, but authoritarianism is the extreme version of that, where someone is overly enamored by, like people who are very controlling. Even some people are like this. Even a Scorpio person can be very submissive in their relationships. A woman who's a Scorpio, and maybe she has a career, she might be cutthroat in her career and submissive in her private life, because Scorpio is a feminine sign. And Scorpio is like a piece of work, actually. The more I think about it, it's very complicated, Even though it's a feminine sign, one of your rulers is Mars, and that's a very masculine energy. It's the ruler of Aries. So some of those qualities that you see in Aries, you can see sometimes in Scorpio individuals, where they have that fire that comes out. But it's because Pluto's involved too, it can be really convoluted. Aries is much more, I feel, transparent with what it's all about. But anyway, yeah. So, how this can play out is that you may have somebody in your life. I mean, the Knight of Cups, it might be that, there's this opportunity for a relationship, but you haven't tied up those loose ends. Maybe you're not fully divorced yet. Maybe you haven't even separated from your current partner, even though it is totally over with. And so you may want to get something going with this person, but the timing may be slightly off. But even on your end, there might be this tendency to be like the Emperor, where it's very hard, where you have this rigidity. And I'm a Sag. I'm a Scorpio in Vedic astrology, but I don't identify as a Scorpio, but I can sense that sometimes within myself. Um, Sometimes you may sense that you find it hard to just kind of like let down your guard. So you may the way that that may present itself, how you may display this is being like kind of, I don't want to say controlling necessarily, but trying to have that kind of upper hand. And that's why, so learning, this is one of the things that people have to realize when they are trying to empower themselves, is they can't do it on the outside. They have to turn within to truly empower themselves. And sometimes people don't realize that fully, and they are looking to control somebody else. And that's going to lead to a negative outcome more times than not. Also, let me see, is there something else I want to say? Well, I'm going to just move on. Also, since that's the card of the judge, you might feel that there's some kind of a setback, but don't worry, because we have here justice is coming. And this means that maybe there are multiple phases of this, of whatever it is that is going on. But it could point to eventually having what you want, having it go your way. I would say, too, is not needing to be in control of the situation. With the emperor, this idea of like a control freak, not needing to will be more likely to have things go your way than not. Justice, when you think about it, at the end of the day, the justice card is about fairness. And fairness is something that we all deserve. Nobody deserves to be treated unfairly, to be singled out, or anything of that sort. And yet, despite what we want, we have to face the fact that these things happen regardless. The outcome is the Seven of Pentacles. And this is a card. It's interesting that they show in this deck, they show her alone, because the number 7 is a number of solitude and contemplation. But Pentacles, is practical energy. It's money. It's energy, but especially, I would say, of a tangible variety. Possessions, work, jobs, the body. 7 of Pentacles means that the person is looking at what they have invested into something and seeing if it is reflected in growth. So, in this particular case, we have these cards that are dealing with maybe a new relationship coming about. Oh, by the way, the Judgment card is a card rebirth, and so that really speaks to someone who, when we talk about the Judgment card, is maybe in this process of transformation. And remember, you're a Scorpio, you're kind of like an expert in transformation, but also the lunar eclipse in your sign can be indicative of that as well. So the 7 of Pentacles can really be speaking to any area of life where you have put something into it and you're looking to see if it is reflected back in some growth that has occurred. So maybe with the Knight of Cups, this can be an offer of love. And if you have been talking to someone, if you will, and there's that sense of attraction to someone, How is it going? You may feel as if you can't really let your hair down because you have these authority figures, the King of Swords, the Emperor, just like surrounding you, the judgment, the justice, and it feels like how are you able just to be spontaneous and do all these things? Well, by taking things slowly, by really getting to know someone, by not needing to have this hot and heavy relationship right away. That probably, and that's really what the Seven of Pentacles is about too, is patience. As you know, put into that relationship what you're looking for. So that's what I have for you, Scorpio. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, I have a reading that I think a lot of Scorpios would appreciate. It's a double reading with astrology called my deep dive reading. As a person with my sun in the 8th house, even though I'm a Sag, I'm an honorary Scorpio in that regard, and I have the moon in conjunction with Pluto. So I think I really tune into the Scorpio vibe pretty well. And this is an hour of natal chart analysis and an hour of transits for the upcoming 12 months for a special price. And I have one called the Whole Enchilada that involves the tarot. Um, I should have one called the Whole Enchilada that has the deep dive plus the tarot reading. Maybe I'll have to change the names of those readings. But anyway, that one is a special price as well. And then I have standalone readings. You can find out more information at the link below. I'm at rainamoonastrology.com. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.